Welcome back to Reviews and Rankings with Robby Sobel. Today I'll be reviewing the 2019 film Dr. Sleep, as well as taking a look at how Stephen King's novel made its way to the big screen. Dr. Sleep is a 2019 film directed by Mike Flanagan and stars Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, Kyliegh Curran, and Cliff Curtis. In 1977, author Stephen King released his legendary novel The Shining. 3 years later, in 1980, director Stanley Kubrick adapted the novel into a film famously starring Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall. Despite the critical and financial success of the film, King was vocal in his opposition due to the screenplay making heavy changes to his story, including differences in characters and plot. King had such a negative reaction to the film that he wrote the screenplay for the Shining miniseries that was released to mixed to negative reviews in 1997. Fast forward to 2013, and Stephen King published the novel Dr. Sleep, which acts as a direct sequel to his original The Shining story. With the novel being yet another success for King, and with recent King film adaptations doing well at the box office and with critics, it was only a matter of time before Dr. Sleep made its way onto the big screen. Director Mike Flanagan was hired to helm the project, as he was able to weave through both the Shining novel and film to create an adaptation of Dr. Sleep that acts as a sequel to both properties. The story follows Danny Torrance and his mother Wendy following the events of The Shining, where they were able to escape the Overlook Hotel. After witnessing a young Danny struggle with keeping his visions of the ghosts in check, he is able to channel his power, otherwise known as the Shine, in a way that suppresses the visuals. In the decades that follow, Danny takes to alcohol as a way to deal with his memories, leading him to hit rock bottom before arriving in a small town in an attempt to get back on the right track. Danny becomes friends with a local named Billy Freeman, who helps find him room and board, as well as a job working with the elderly in hospice care, in addition to his introduction with AA to get clean from drinking. Over the course of the next 8 years, Danny becomes sober and lives a common lifestyle until his shine is suddenly awakened. In present day, a cult of semi-immortal drifters called the True Knot, led by Rose the Hat, feed off the dying steam of those who can shine, and in return are able to extend their lifespan. We then witness a young girl named Abra, who has similar shine abilities as Danny, but are even more enhanced and detailed.
I always called it The Shining.
After the True Knot murder a young boy with the shine, Abra is able to sense what is taking place, and her powers alert both Rose and Danny. In an attempt to stop the cult, Rose locates Danny as the two work together to defeat the True Knot, ending in a satisfying conclusion that moviegoers will be entertained by, and fans of the original Shining, both the novel and film, will be happy to see. When it was first announced that Dr. Sleep would be adapted into a film, many wondered how it would play out in regards to the differences between the previous novel and movie. Despite the issues, Mike Flanagan found a way to create a balance that does justice to the source material. The acting in Dr. Sleep is solid, with Ewan McGregor playing his starring role of Danny Torrance well, creating a seamless and believable transition from young Danny to old. We sympathize with Danny as he gets clean and sober and does his best to live life on the grid, but is ultimately forced to tap back into his mental abilities. Kyliegh Curran does a wonderful job as Abra, as she creates a vulnerability that helps the audience care and invest in her character, while also growing into a strong heroine by the end of the film. The movie's lead villain of Rose the Hat, played by Rebecca Ferguson, does enough to remain interesting and provide a decent enough opposition for Danny and Abra, though expanding on her backstory and creating more intense and villainous moments would have helped the character. While the acting in Dr. Sleep is strong, the real strength of the film is in its direction and atmosphere, especially in the final act that includes several throwbacks to the original Shining, but does so in a way that feels fresh and not repetitive. The cinematography and overall look of the film is also pleasant, as cinematographer Michael Flanagan creates a beautiful canvas for director Mike Flanagan to work on. Flanagan directs a solid story with visuals that hit the mark at almost every turn, while minimizing the use of cliché jump scares that have become far too common in horror films of the day. Dr. Sleep is not without its issues, as the tension could have been increased at times, possibly with the use of more traditional frightening moments. The CGI used in the film was on par or even better than most in the genre, though there were a few occasions that it could have been tightened up. 40 years after the release of The Shining, Stephen King's latest cinematic adaptation delivers a welcome follow-up that fans of the film and novel, as well as critics, appear to be pleased with, as Dr. Sleep currently holds a 74% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 95% audience score. While King wasn't a fan of Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, it appears he can find some solace in the cinematic version of Dr. Sleep, as the film brings in a 4 out of 5-star rating. I hope you enjoyed my review for Dr. Sleep, but what are your thoughts? Leave them down in the comments below, and if you could, hit the like button and subscribe. If you're on Instagram, you can follow me at Robby_upgrade. So let's keep watching movies, and thanks for checking out the channel.